Welcome back, my beautiful super soul sisters. Today we're talking about Carpe Diem shoes. Such an important pair of shoes to wear. Oh my goodness. And now I'm going to share a little story that'll rock your world. Well, it certainly rocked mine. Actually, it was more like spinning. Carpe Diem, for those who don't know the term, is seize the day. As you may be aware that, I had a scenario recently with my husband having had cancer. He's all good now, by the way, thank you. Just in case you were worried or concerned or, just interested. And we had a scenario where the surgeon botched the surgery, and there was a moment there where, in fact, 2 moments where we really did nearly lose him. There were two, it was a very long 7 weeks of my life. I had to dig deep. I had to have my dig deep shoes on. But we got through that, and thank goodness for all my emotional resilience tools, because if it weren't for that, and by the way, if you haven't already got that, I'm in the throes of getting that all sorted, by the way, but I'll let you know when those emotional resilience toolkit tools are available. Totally worth purchasing. Every single person on the planet should have an emotional resilience toolkit that you can carry in your handbag, and if you're a bloke, you can put in your your tog bag, whatever it is. That will help you become more emotionally resilient, and all these tools and all these exercises that I give you on a daily basis just help you to sustain. Like, we get a lot of stuff thrown at us, and Carpe Diem kind of brought it home again to me. I've always been aware of it, probably more so because I've had these experiences, but this particular experience, I'll let you know. I'll just quickly share with you. I went whitewater rafting shortly after I got married in Victoria Falls, where I'm from, Zimbabwe, and I'm actually named after Victoria Falls. And we decided that we would celebrate, and it was, Zimbabwe had been struggling for quite some time, so the safety measures that used to be in place had been dropped. They are quite loose around safety, and they didn't have the money to actually pay the guides, the rafting guides. So the way at that time, because of the Mugabe regime that was in place, the lovely dictator shoes were on our leader, meant that there was no food available. So these guys were actually getting paid in food because there was no currency. The currency had actually collapsed. Now, that then had a knock-on effect of how they were handling the tours, which was not made apparent at the beginning, as you can imagine. Otherwise they wouldn't have tourists doing it, right? So we're doing this whitewater rafting, and I did notice that was like, oh well, I've done it several times. I'm not, I'm a strong swimmer. My husband's not so much. He's more of a land animal, rather than a swimmer. And I was finding that, I was like, well, the safety briefing wasn't quite what I was expecting. It wasn't quite what it used to be. But more so that we had a whole bunch of, I was in a boat separate to my husband. And they put the heavy people normally in the front of the boat, so that when you're going through these big waves, and they're grade 5, some of them, and depending on what time of the year that you actually do it, there's some heavy waves that you've got to get through, some serious waves. So sometimes you have to walk around them. So there's one called commercial suicide for a reason, okay? And they have lost people. People have drowned on the Zambezi. So anyway, so I'm in this boat with these Indian group, or Indian family, I think it was, and I noticed that the guide had put the lightweight people in the front. And normally, I remember from the old days, it was always the other way around. It was the heavier people, and there was this little Indian lady right in the front, and I'm thinking she should be in the back, I should be in the front. Like, I was like twice her weight, and I'm not even heavy by comparison. But effectively, when you're going into a wave, when you hit the wave like that, you're going to have more of a propensity of flipping over if you haven't got the extra heavy weight to push through the actual wave. So I'm sitting in the boat, and I noticed that we've got 2 safety kayaks. Now, normally you have more than that. Normally you have you know, several guys, depending on how many boats you got on the water. We had 8 boats with 8 people in it, and we had 2 kayaks with individual guys in it, there to rescue you if you came out of the boats. Anyway, we came to the commercial suicide one, and normally you would say you would walk around that, and that day they decided no, we were actually going to go through it. Now I personally, I mean, this was a mother wave, hey. I can't remember how deep it was, but it's up there. And I was like, I don't think this is a good idea, guys. I think we should actually walk. You know, I was being a bit of a chicken, if I'm honest. I was like, oh, I'm not being brave. My Xena Warrior shoes were definitely not on that day. I was like, holy crap, man, dude. I don't think that's a great idea. And I'm a local, you know, like and I was like, okay, I'm just being wussy. I've been overseas. Come on, you know, you know, you got to get it right. Anyway, so long story short, they sent us all through, and pretty much every single raft flipped. So we've now got bodies galore in the water, and they're rapids, and there's serious rapids, and there's whirlpools, and there's rocks, and there's, you know, well, I thought maybe crocodiles, but, you know, in my panic, you know, I suddenly thought, what are the dangers, as your mind always does. And what happened is I came out of the boat and I thought, right, well, someone's going to come and rescue me, right? Well, no. I went through 2 more rapids. I had the oar with me, and that was my saving grace, actually. And I had one of the Indian guys hanging onto the back of the oar. And next thing, no jokes, I was caught in a whirlpool. And I was, honestly, I just remember going around, it's like being in a washing machine. And I was getting sucked further and further down. And you don't know how deep these things are, right? You know, you're in a rapid, right? And it literally was going round and round, and all I could see was the light. And it was like the light of God. You know, they talk about the tunnel, you know, the tunnel of death. You know, I saw the light, ladies. I saw the light. And I was like, holy crap, I'm too young. I just got married. I don't want to be seeing the light, you know, what the hell, you know? And I was like, holy crap. And literally just going around like this. And I was like getting sucked further and further in. And I was like, oh my gosh, how the hell am I going to get out of this? Anyway, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to. Honestly, I looked up, and I thought, holy crap, man, dude, this is my time. This is my time. And I just didn't think that was going to be right now, you know. So I looked up, and I quite literally looked up at the light, and I thought, this must be, I mean, odd what you think. I thought this must be what it's like to be inside a washing machine. And then I thought, if God wants me to get out of this, I'm going to, you know, if you want me to get out of this alive, it really is over to you, because I can't see how I'm going to get out of this. And, you know, I was talking about how, you know, you get your blinder and you panic and you can't think outside the square. Well, I had to get my MacGyver shoes on. Now, I didn't call it that back then, but I knew that I had to get calm. I had to center myself somehow and get some idea of how I could get out of the situation. And that's oddly what I did do. And I landed up grabbing my oar and pushing as hard as I possibly could down. I started feeling for a rock to see if there's anything I could, or anything, ground, anything that would push me up out of this whirlpool. And I found one, thank God. No kidding. And I literally pushed as hard as I could, and fortunately it popped me out of the whirlpool. And the Indian guy was underneath me. I could feel him, and he was hanging onto the oar, and I managed to pull him out as well. So I rescued him with my oar, and I'll never forget it. And I thought, thank God I'm out of there. And I thought I'll take a breath of air, because I've been down there too long now. And I thought I'll take a breath, and I suddenly went, oh crap, my lungs are full of water. Oh my OMG, panic number 2, right? And I was like, no, my gosh, I can't breathe. I'm out now and I can't breathe. And I thought, well, surely someone's going to rescue me now. No, went through another 2 rapids, then realized, baby, you're on your own, kid. You're going to have to make a plan. So I've now got the oar with this guy still hanging on. And I saw a rock, and my instant limbic brain said, panic, there's going to be a crocodile and you're going to get eaten alive. And I was like, right now, don't give a rat's, you know. And then I calmed myself. I centered myself. I was like, okay, remember that crocodiles don't like fast water. They actually like calm water. and still water so that they can drag whatever it is off quite comfortably and eat it. So I then realized that actually I was safe, and I pulled this other guy up onto the rock, and then I started doing like the Heinrich maneuver on myself. Like I got still clear and I started doing the Heinrich maneuver, and I just threw up all this water, and I was like, holy smoke. So the Indian lady that was in the front, she had hit a rock. She had lost both her front teeth. Mouth was bleeding. Half of the people got out and walked out. You got to understand, we have cliffs there, so it's a very, very steep walk. It's not like meander out. And they got out. And I knew that day that I had to get back on the horse. I knew that if I did not get in that raft, I would never raft again. And you know, I was like, halfway down, still got the rest of the day to go. Am I going to do this or not? Now, I didn't even know if my husband was still alive. My newlywed husband, is he alive or dead? I mean, I don't know. I couldn't see him. I didn't see him. We stopped at lunch. We caught up at the lunch break, and someone told me he was okay, thank God, and that he had elected to, you know, go home, go back to the hotel, my brother's hotel, Victoria Falls Safari Lodge. Great place to stay, by the way, if you ever want to go to Victoria Falls. Yeah, and look, you know, they've, as far as I know, they've improved their security, by the way, their safety measures. But this was, you know, like 20 odd years ago when things were really bad. But I knew that if I didn't get back on the horse, that was it. I was never going to get in the raft again, and I just had to do it. I forced myself. I was like, get your Xena shoes on, baby. You got to make this happen. Otherwise, you're just going to be a chicken for the rest of your life, and I was not going to be that. Now, what have we learned from this? I've gone over my time. Carpe Diem. You just don't know when it's your time. Okay, I had another scenario very briefly. Guy walked off, this was in Queenstown a few years ago. He walked out of the lawyer's office. I've got my lawyers, you know, that were working on some stuff, and you know, a friend of mine was working there, and she was saying that she literally had a meeting. This guy walked out here. He was on his phone, literally stood at the roundabout. Okay, he stepped off the curb without looking both ways, and he got taken out by a truck. Gone, boom, like that. Carpe diem, ladies. Seize the day. If this was your last chance to do what you needed to do, would you be walking on the path that you're on? Yes or no? It's a tough question to ask you, but I got to tell you, my husband, 2 calls. He went in there for a 20-minute operation. It was supposed to be maximum 30. He landed up in hospital for 7 weeks, ladies. 7 weeks fighting for his life. Fighting. 2 times he had to have another 2 major operations. 2 major operations. Both times we nearly lost him. Both times. You don't know when it's your card is up. You don't know when it's your time. And I'm telling you now, today you can change that. If you have any inkling about staying on the path, going your way, not going your way, I beg your pardon, and needing to go this way, okay, on your own path, think about that. If this was your last day, would you be okay staying on the same path that you're walking on without making the change, not going in the direction you want? Okay, now, second thing, if somebody, a crayfish, or you've been stuck in the hot frog pot, okay, if a crayfish comes along and tries to drag you off onto the old path, okay, and I said to you, Carpe Diem, my girl, Carpe Diem, is the decision, would you allow them to drag you back onto your path, yes or no? Yes or no? I'm asking you now, yes or no? No. Okay, I want you to get to the no chance, okay? I am living my Carpe Diem. I am seizing the day. I am making the most of every single day of my life for the rest of my life. If I haven't lived out full out until now, I flippin' well am from now on. And I am going to go on my path, wearing my own shoes, going my own way. And anybody who's keen for that, go hashtag Carpe Diem in the comments box, please. Love you. Namaste.